Well, we are certainly in an era we're using tech more than ever. I mean, we have kids in school learning online. We have people working from home using their computers. Where do we begin with all this? There's just so much tech. How do we balance this?
Those of us that are concerned about this, it's really a challenge. So let's kind of put in context of this discussion. Everything you do to minimize your kids' dependency on screens is good. So please focus on what you can do that makes you feel good and really try your best to let go of all that makes you feel guilty. As parents, the last things we need, COVID or no COVID, is anything more to feel guilty about. So that's why we framed this mindful tech plan and this book, Less Screen, More Green, in a way of offering people, here's the science. This helps to build your motivation. So as you said, Steve, I mean, this is changing the development of kids' brains, their social patterns and behaviors. So as young as you can, really be mindful of giving them screen-free, low-tech, nature-based, connecting with you ways to self-soothe, to express themselves, to entertain themselves. And it's a challenge. I acknowledge that for sure.
And so be specific, Carrie. I mean, how do you do that?
Well, one of the things is we've talked about using, as Drew read in the intro, using the power of nature. So make sure every day, and whether, as Richard Louv, the author of The Last Child in the Woods, says, there's no bad weather, there's just the wrong clothes. So
very true.
If you live in California, Drew, you're okay. But every day, make time to get your kids outside, to sit on the back porch, to maybe it's nearby nature, or maybe you're in lockdown, in which case sit by an open window, read a nature-based book together, just some screen-free way. Have lots of board games around and cards. There's many sad things that I see in this, and one of them is how often you see parents on their devices, and they're so focused on their devices, and the kids are just looking for their attention. So there's a couple of concerns with that. One is they're not getting the early bonding and connection and attention they need and crave. And they're also learning how you have this connected dependency, and that this thing rules and is the hub of your whole world. So part of what we're doing is showing people how you can have connectivity in a safer way, and how you can make time each day, as I said, for time in nature, for quiet time, where a mindfulness practice, prayer, some way to just be with yourselves. I've got a quote here I just wanted to read you from Thich Nhat Hanh. And he says, we have to go back to ourselves, to our beloved ones, to nature, because electronic devices help us to run away from ourselves. We don't have to reject these devices, but can make good use of them. So that's really what we're focused on. So each day, time in nature, each day, some kind of quiet time and mindfulness practice, and each day, some way of being truly connected. Sit down on the floor with your kids and play a board game or fashion something, draw, sketch. We need more of those good analog things.
I love that quote by Thich Nhat Hanh, because the adults certainly are running away from themselves by using screen time as well. I mean, I think we're all guilty of it. And I love what you're talking about, because you're not only allowing the screen time to be put aside, but you're allowing the rich time with your kids to be the most important part of your day. And that's what we need more of, is more family time, not less screen time.
Exactly. And so I can hear the parents saying, oh God, I knew they were going to talk about that, but I'm so busy and I don't have the time. It really is. I know it sounds trite, but it's the quality. You can be in the midst of something, maybe not in the midst of a Zoom call, but you can be in the midst of something, you're cooking or you're writing up a report or whatever you're doing, and your child is looking for you. Just turn and be with them, touch them, just put your hand on them and say, sweetheart, what do you need? And honestly, in a minute or two, they can feel connected and heard. And then you go back to what you need to do. But if you're focused on this all the time or on your screen all the time, it's hard for them to get that feeling of connectedness with you.
Right, because when an adult is on, let's say, a cell phone or the devices or whatever, the computer, and they're not giving the child any attention, they're disconnected. And what I really like what you said is, even if you give that child 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes of just focus, a time where you drop everything and you acknowledge the child for where they're at, I think that makes all the difference, because that's what children need. They need to have that vital connection between the parent, to know that they exist and that they are real, and that you're available for anything. And I think that 30 seconds, 1 minute, just the way you said it was key. Very, very key.
And so what I encourage people to do is, in a way, kind of like grounding. I teach a technique called pausing. Well, I also teach mindfulness meditation. And for some people, you say, I shorten it down to 5 minutes. And I was giving a lecture one guy, and the guy says, 5 minutes? You want me to sit quietly without my device for 5 minutes? So anyway, I'm now teaching a technique called pausing. Okay, so you've got your phone and using your mindfulness. So part of mindful tech is, instead of just this automatic, habitual, your brain is hooked on the dopamine, you're all psyched into this, you're stressing every cell in your body, your heart, your brain, everywhere. We thought we had stress before the digital age, but now we're really in overdrive. So have a thought awareness. Is this call or text or shopping online, whatever it is I'm doing, is it necessary? Is it a distraction? Or is it something that's truly meaningful? Or you may, for example, start off with something that's necessary. So you go on to your messenger, you're on your server, and you're in your online or wherever you are. And you started off because you had to find out some research, or you had to book a holiday, or you were something, or you wanted to catch the news. Speaking of stress, catch the news. So you do that, what you needed to do, what's necessary. But then before you know it, you are down the rabbit hole and you have spent 20 minutes, an hour, a couple of hours, and where have you been?
Yeah.
So that's why the mindfulness is being able to take a pause. So you've made your call, you've done what you needed to do, was necessary, and now just pause and breathe. And then you feel when you're into the distraction. And when you acknowledge that basically you're just bored, you're frustrated, you're fed up, you're anxious, you're overwhelmed with a tremendous pain and divisions in the world, and you just take me to anywhere. I can't travel right now, but let's just, go on a blog of somebody who's traveling. So you pause to see where you're just getting hooked. And then, as you say, Steve, with the grounding, the breathing, the earthing, just bring yourself back into your body, bring yourself back into the moment. And you begin to feel kind of awake and present. You feel your heart, You feel your body, your being, and you can feel yourself softening and becoming just more content. So make time each day to connect with nature. Make time each day to connect with your own being. Quiet time, yoga, mindfulness, Tai Chi, Qigong, grounding, something like that. And make time each day to really, truly connect with your children and your loved ones with lots of screen-free activities and fun. And please don't feel guilty. You're not going to, like with dealing with any dependency or addiction, but it's every positive step. Feel good about that.